response to 90s Hebrew Israelite gives wisdom to the newcomers live stream. This is on Vocab Malone's page, and he interviews Adiala. For the ones of you that go back in the day, Adiala was the juryman, and he was part of the Sons of Thunder, excuse me, which was headed by Ariala and Yashawan, and he mentions Brooklyn, how there was a camp in Brooklyn, so you can know that camp in Brooklyn was at Fulton and Hoyce. It was me and Lahab that started that camp. We started that camp, and Ariala had came into the school, and me and him kind of headed the camp, and the camp started getting big, so we said let's leave the camp and go someplace else. Matter of fact, we went to the Bronx. It was just the two of us at that time, and Barak of the HODC was the head, but Yashawan kind of pushed up in there, and he became the head. And eventually, he came up with the idea of the tables, which we were doing tables before he did it, but he saw it and capitalized on it. But anyway, he was saying, Adiala was saying that they were doing it to help the school, and went to it didn't go to the 7. It went to Lahab, Yashawan, and that crew. Okay, they had a meeting to get all the camp members to join the tables so they can help the school. Well, they had guys from my camp and other camps sell on the tables, and they would just get the money. They wouldn't even pay in tights. They wouldn't give them no money. Period. Now Yashawan, just to be fair, he was generous, and he wanted to give Masha money. He offered him money, and Lahab told him don't give it to them because they niggas, and that's why those guys eventually fell off. But anyway, he mentioned me. He mentioned my name in this video as well. But anyway, I want you to hear something. I'm gonna say this too. He said that we were not in the New Testament. We were always in the New Testament. When I came in the early 80s, we were always in the New Testament, man. We read from the New Testament as much as we read from the Old Testament and the Apocrypha. So what the hell is this guy talking about? As a matter of fact, Abba Bivens was part of the Oath Keepers, and what made him branch off and do his own thing because he was into the New Testament. These other guys were these other so-called rabbis. Matthew comes up, Rabbi Matthew, and there's a couple others. They stuck up with the Old Testament, and it was Abba Bivens that dealt with the New Testament, that dealt with the Messiah. So you got to get your story straight. But anyway, what happened was if you go to the 29th minute 34 second of this video, 29th minute of this video, it's almost 2 hour video. He says that he mentioned Wall Street. That they used to know. I was the one that went down to Wall Street. They went down there too. They went down there on off days. Monday, whatever, and we went down the other days. So there were 2 camps down there. Anyway, let me get back into the story, or to what I'm saying. He said that Yashawan and certain other men, part of the Sons of Thunder, they were questioning Arya about the New Testament. We already been in the New Testament. We go into the New Testament just like we go into the New Testament today. But what Yashua and this other guy, the Benjamin Knight that he spoke about, he was one of the sowers, and he said that Mary never had sex with Joseph, and that's what this guy Adiala goes by to this day. Joseph and Mary had sex. Joseph is the biological father of who the world calls Jesus Christ. But let me let you listen. If some precepts come to mind, I'll bring them out.
Like brothers say lawyer.
But I thought it was a way like to honor him or give him a shout out. Maybe I was wrong, but I got you. Go ahead.
So anyway, in that time, they started to question him about the gospel. They was like, the main thing that came out was the holy birth. They was like, all these scriptures, there's no scripture that say Joseph knew Mary. Mm-hmm. There's no scripture that said Joseph begat Christ. And they would bring points to him.
Well, that's a lie, because the Lord came out of the seed of David, and Joseph came out of was direct lineage to David.
And who it was coming from, there was a young brother that was a sower that was from Barbados, and he was like a real Bible scholar. His name was Ra'ayim, which means thunder. And he was studying, he was like, Ariel is wrong on this. He was saying that Mary, he said that there's no way possible that Joseph slept with Mary to bring forth Christ. Because
now we did videos on this, explain it. If brothers want to do new videos on this subject, they can go into it. Now this guy Vocab is licking his chops because he believes in that nonsense, just like Adiala's lost. He's out there, he's lost in space. He don't know nothing about the scriptures.
Here in Luke 134 and 135, it states that the Spirit of the Highest shall come upon her, the power of the Lord shall overshadow her, and it says it right there in the scriptures.
And that's where I think we heard Ariya gave a classic response, which is he said, well, Luke's alive.
Yeah, he called Luke a liar. He called Luke a liar when he was confronted on it.
No, the Spirit was on him. The Spirit of the Most High was on him. He was a special child. Just like his cousin, John the Baptist. You know, he was a special. He leaped in Elizabeth's womb when they were next to Mary. So there was a spirit. You know, John when John was an infant, John recognized the Spirit of the Lord. I'm not going to go all into it and explain it, but I guess we're going to have to do videos on this.
They call Luke a liar. And he said either you teach it my way or it's the highway.
Ariya said that?
So that meant, yeah. So during that time.
Oh, you just dropped off. Don't know what happened. Well, hopefully you can call back. So to the audience, I know this is kind of a different interview, but you got to understand, it is a big deal because Adiala has years and years of experience in this. Now, to those who are wondering, he has not left Hebrew Israelism in the sense that he would still say, hey, I am the Hebrew Israelite. But he also believes that there is a larger gospel that the schools have been ignoring.
Oh, Adiala is completely lost. He's lost. He's just completely lost.
Which is that Gentiles can be saved as well as some other things.
You heard it, right? And well, that's what they were teaching, that other nations can make it. That the Edomites can make it. And Laha's teaching that to this day. So that's why the Most High got him out of there, you know? They ain't out there on the highways and the byways. Who are the biggest prominent camps out there?
And he's troubled by some of the new developments within some of the camps. And we're going to hopefully get to that as well. Hey, welcome back, Adiala. You are back with us, and let's see if we can hear you. Can't hear you. Let me see though here.
Oh, this guy Adiala. He was also known as Fred Sanford, and that's a name that Killer Priest gave him. So, you know, if you got a problem with that, he can go see Killer Priest. Killer Priest called him Karamaya, called him Fred Sanford. So you know.
Can you guys hear Adiala? Adiala, can you hear me? Yeah, it's Adiala, San Miguel, AHDIAHLA. But we also have San Miguel. He's in here. The live chat. He was a former member of ICGJC, Dominican brother.
So San Miguel should get a life. You know, Comfy's dead and gone, so get a life, man.
And he is a little bit different than Adiala. He's left the whole thing. He doesn't think any of it's true.
He's an atheist, if I'm not mistaken.
But nonetheless, him and I are on friendly terms, and we talk about
religion is a hell of a drug, and Christianity is the worst drug out there.
About some of this stuff, and he does some interesting YouTube videos as well. So I appreciate you kind of giving everybody background information and whatnot as we're doing this. Thank you for that, San Miguel. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can hear you. I don't have you muted, so I don't know.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, all right. And so everyone knows, yeah, he's trying to just have his privacy, so that's why he's got a poster up, and I've just been putting this image that he sent me over it. But okay, all right.
Why don't he show his face? He should just show his face. It said you shall see your teachers. Isaiah 30 verse 20.
Brother, we're good. So I'm hearing you. So some of the generals, so they had been made generals, some of them started bringing in the idea that the New Testament was the Word of God, not just the Old Testament. And they also started pushing the idea that, hey, this looks like Mary was a virgin when she conceived and gave birth, which was a big...
The fulfillment of Isaiah, the word virgin. The word virgin in the New Testament is, what's that word? Goddamn, man. From the Greek. I can look it up. Somebody put it up in the comment board. Parthenos Genesis, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't gone through that in a while, but like I said, we got to do videos on this proving that Joseph and Mary did have sex, and the Lord is the biological father of the Lord is in fact Joseph.
Deal, because at that time the One West School.
Oh, in the book of Isaiah, it says the word a virgin shall conceive, but in the Hebrew the word is ayalama, which means a young woman. And when you look that word up, the word that should be there, if she's an actual virgin, never been touched, the word that should be there in Isaiah, I believe that's Isaiah 7:14, if I'm not mistaken. I hadn't gone through in a while. But somebody can put it in the comment board. I'm not going to jump and read a bunch of scriptures, but I'm just going to quote them. The word there for virgin is it should be if she's an actual virgin, it should be Bathwala, but the word there is Ayalama, which means young woman of marriageable age.
Did not teach the virgin conception, and there was some back and forth between some of the generals and Ariel.
Yeah, and all those guys fell off and went back into the world. And some of them is in the spirit world. Mosai took some of them out.
Who Ariel at the time was kind of like the big Bible teacher at One West. He's still alive, although no one's been able to talk to him. That is someone I really wish I could talk to one day before he leaves this earth. But no one has ever talked to him really in public for years. I don't know if anyone knows how to get a hold of him, but maybe one day we can.
I ran into him a bunch of times. You know, he recognized me. We talked. You know. And if you did meet him, Vocab, you would like him. You would like him. You would generally like him, like you claim you like me. And you know, back when we was at camp, there was a lot of Edomites that came up and had conversations with Ariel, and Ariel talked to them, shook their hands and all that. So, you know, I mean, he's up in age right now. I don't know what's, you know, he's up in age, but
make that happen. I'd love to hear his perspective about all this stuff. Because
I can give you his perspective.
One thing we're trying to do as we look at Hebrewism is to understand the past, and Adiala can help us do that. So Adiala, when you say this, some of the brothers eventually embrace the gospel, what's different about how they what you teaching before? What do you mean by
what they were teaching before was the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Apocrypha, and the Josephus. Which I don't put. Ariel push the Josephus. I don't push the Josephus. But if you want to go into certain history, you have to go into the Josephus.
When you say some of the brothers embrace the gospel,
well, they seem that
they embrace the gospel to the point where they left the truth. But none of those guys are teaching. Not one of them is teaching.
Following the law, you would have to do like the whole law. You would have to try to do 613 laws, all the ceremonies. Some of the law tells you gotta be in Jerusalem, and so a lot of these things.
Oh, that thing with Jerusalem, you gotta have the Passover in Jerusalem. Well, my question to these people that say that, they were in the wilderness for 40 years. Did they go to Jerusalem every year and then come back into the wilderness? They kept the Passover from year to year for 40 years. And the first Passover was in so-called Egypt, the land of Mizraim. So the Passover was kept for 40 years in the wilderness.
Things, well, you had some brothers that were sharper than others. They were seeing that and discussing it in private, but they didn't want to disrespect the elders of the organization, because when we would bring like these things up, they would have councils in the.
And that's why all those guys are back in the world, and some of them are out of the world. They're in the spirit world. The Most High took a number of them out, a certain number of them out.
School where they would persecute brothers openly if you came up with any doctrine that was outside of what Ariel was putting down.
Was Ariel really in charge of everything, basically? Because sometimes you hear Mashah was.
Marshall was in charge, but Marshall he had a tender and humble side to him. So it could easily be pushed over by RER or any other heads. And that's how they really broke up the school too, because once they started really arguing over the business,
and who should have control of the school. What you had was, with the Lahab administration, you had one group of brothers that wanted to be productive and being
Yeah, for themselves. He didn't say nothing about the sack days. There was a thing called the sack days, where once a week you would have to give the money that you made on the table. And that was, if there was 40 tables out there, 50 tables out there, 100 tables out there, there was a sack day that they had to, like I said, give the whole. And if they had to go home, they would lend them money to go take a train going home and take a train coming back to get the table to go back out on the table. And then they would get you. It went from 1 day a week to 2 days a week. And they would always get you. They would say, well, Monday is your sack day. But then they would find out that, wait a minute, this guy makes the most of his money on a Thursday. So, Monday you would get sacked, and then Thursday you would get sacked. And then you would say, well, wait a minute, you sacked me Monday. So the days that these guys made the most money is when you had your surprisingly, brother, today is your sack day. And none of that money was going to the school. None of them guys were paying tights either. None of them guys were paying tights. They were pocketing that money, living it up, man. The scriptures speak about filthy lucres and the love of money. They were in love with money. And that's why the Most High kicked them all out.
Progress, and you had one group of brothers that wanted to just stay stagnant and collect, and then what they did, they basically blamed everything on the middle management while they was collecting money and pretending like
the only ones that was collecting money was Lahab and Yashawan and the little crew that they had. The rest of the 7 wasn't getting no money.
Arion and Marshawn and them, while they was collecting the money, they was pretending like they was being victimized by the Lahab administration. And
they were. These guys got greedy. That's why none of those guys are out there on the highways and the byways and pushing the gospel. Now Lahab got his own channel, Blaze Judah, and he teaches that Edomites and other nations can make it. Anyway, I just wanted to say a few words. With that, I'm going to say shalom.